With the surge of DSA members being elected, you might be finding yourself wondering, what is socialism? Well, I'm here to explain that, and why it might be a little bit better than what we have right now. As a kid growing up, I often heard adults talk about how evil and scary socialism is, and how capitalism is the only way to go. But as I got older and developed my own beliefs, I wanted to offer people a new perspective on what socialism is, and how it's better than capitalism. I aspire to be an elected official, to make the world we live in a little bit better. And the first step is fixing our broken economic system. First, we'll go over what socialism and capitalism are, and dive into the specifics of socialism. Then, we'll cover the misconceptions on how socialism fails. And lastly, we'll cover how capitalism fails us, and how voting for progressive politicians, like in DSA, is the solution to this American problem. First, we should define socialism. According to Britannica, socialism is a social and economic doctrine that calls for public rather than private ownership or control of property and natural resources. In practice, this would mean a shoe factory would be owned and run by the collective individuals who make the shoes in the factory. Capitalism, as defined by Britannica, is an economic system in which there is private ownership of the means of production. Means of production refer to things such as natural resources and factories that then produce the goods. Karl Marx, one of the founders of socialism, author of Das Kapital and Kritik of Programm, states, "From each according to their ability, to each according to their needs." This represents the goal of socialism, to promote equity and reduce the concentration of power among the upper class. Socialism also allows people to produce not just for profit, but for the benefit and satisfaction of people through voting. For example, most people know the Green Bay Packers, the NFL team with the most league championship wins in all of history. Well, another interesting fact about them is that they're also the only nonprofit, community-owned, and therefore socialist team in the league since 1923. The fans have the power to elect a 45-member board of directors that then oversees the team. According to The Guardian, residents spanning from football fans to critics all voice their love and appreciation of Lambeau Field, the home of the Green Bay Packers, but able to be used by all. To soothe your worries about socialism, the Golden Era is an era in the United States history with the most socialistic values in place. This era was brought into fruition by President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The reforms to antitrust laws, which prevented monopolies, and the implementation of the highest marginal taxes on the top percent enabled us to escape the Great Depression. The Revenue Act of 1935 implemented a marginal tax rate of 79% on income earners of above $5 million. FDR then used the money from those increased taxes to fund socialistic programs like the Civilian Conservation Corps, which provided job opportunities to low-income families that also benefited the general public by building dams and roads. It isn't just FDR, it was the people who voted that made this happen. Using a republic, we can make our voice matter and elect officials with socialist policies to make the change to the better economic system. However, according to the Pew Research Center, in October of 2019, 55% of the population have a negative view of socialism, with the second most popular main reason being the historical failure, which I think is unfair. Is it fair to judge someone's ability to balance on a beam, then to just push them over? Well, that's how many people judge socialism, missing most of the context of how it truly fails. To this date, the United States has prioritized preventing socialism from spreading ever since the Cold War and Red Scare. As a result, most countries attempting to make the switch to a more socialistic economy face internal challenges, as well as frequently undermined by the United States, as confirmed by the CIA themselves. The CIA has overthrown countless socialist countries: Guatemala, Chile, Congo, South Vietnam, Brazil, Nicaragua, Panama, Ecuador, Bolivia, Dominican Republic, Libya, and Iran. Yeah, it's a lot. To better understandings of these government overthrows, let's focus on Iran and discuss the details of the coup d'etat known as Operation Ajax. In 1953, Iran democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. He wanted to socialize the country's oil for its people. But the United States did not like this little fact. So, the CIA consolidated power to reinstate the Shah, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, by planting propaganda, bribing officials, and staging riots. That secured Western oil's interests. This example of Iran shows the lengths in which the United States will go to ignore the democracies and freedoms of other countries just to prevent socialism from spreading. We cannot let this happen in our own country. We have to use our voice and vote for policies and people that represent us. Moving on from socialism, let's talk about the system that we use in the United States: capitalism. Under capitalism, 66% of our wealth is held by the top 10% of our population. In comparison, the bottom 50% holds less than 8% of our wealth, according to the Center of Budgets and Policies Priorities in December of 2024. Even the average American believes that the wealth inequality gap is brutal for the bottom percent. The wealth gap has been confirmed to have increased, according to the Brookings Institution in 2024. But it isn't just the quality of life that's affected. Our lives are at stake. According to Feeding America in 2026, the United States has enough resources to keep everyone from starvation starting today if we wanted to. But sadly, the profit incentives aren't high enough for private corporations to do so. Just in 2022, 20,500 people starved to death. The fact that profit incentives aren't high enough for private corporations to help should not be the reason that people die. This fact doesn't have to be reality. The profit-driven focus within capitalism causes so much harm for very little benefit. Some might say it caused innovation, but it doesn't. Capitalism causes stagnation as soon as the profit incentives call for it. According to the monthly review, even back in 2019, funneling money into bubbles like the housing market, financializing where companies prioritize buying their own shares instead of investing in innovation, and oligopolies, groups of corporations that collaborate not to improve, but to increase income, have been issues with capitalism. Capitalism drives profit. Socialism drives equity. Now that we've reached the end and laid out what socialism is, moving to a socialistic economy where the people of the nation have the driving voice will bring about the desperately needed changes. It will level the class system brought about by the wealth inequality gap. It will end the starvation caused by private corporate greed. But there are no band-aid solutions, no half measures. As Barack Obama once said, "Don't boo, vote." The only way that we can fix this is by voting for socialist officials like Abdul El-Sayed, Rashida Tlaib, or, in a few years, hopefully, me.